This is the second time recording this video because my audio wasn't capturing. Yay. Anyway, so a couple months ago, I made a video talking about what I thought was going to be happening with Mortal Kombat 1. Basically, like, story-wise, characters that I think could be in it. And that has been quite a time ago now. So what I'm going to do in this video is just to look back at the video that I made originally, a year ago now, apparently. And to look at what I got right and wrong, and then also what hasn't been developed on yet. So looking at what hasn't been announced or what could be announced, like, you know what I mean. Let's get started. I don't think that Shang Tsung is going to be the main villain of this story. It just doesn't make sense for Shang Tsung to have a portal that's that big for a character his size. So that was a lie. So it turns out without Shang Tsung was the main villain. It was the other version of Shang Tsung from the original timeline in Mortal Kombat 11, and he was helped with Quan Chi. I believe the main boss to be Onaga. Turns out Onaga does show up in the story, kind of. He shows up in Reiko's tower ending as someone who apparently gets tamed by him because he exists and is a threat to Outworld or some shit. Like, it's not going to be someone like Quan Chi, and yet he shows up. So I'm basically just waffling at this point. And I think Blaze... I don't think Blaze is going to show up in the story at all. I was right on that. Blaze doesn't show up at all, although he has potentiality to later on, but not to what we know anyway. But also in this game, you're revealed to have Jax, Sonya, Kano, Goro, and Stryker. I love how Charlie wrote down Stryker there. Very good research, bro. All of the characters that have been revealed so far have all been from the first 3 Mortal Kombat games. Now this makes me believe that a lot of the characters are going to be from the earlier Mortal Kombat games. Kind of right, kind of not. There are definitely quite a few characters that were in the original trilogy that have been brought back, but he also brought back, I think it was Nitara, Ashra, Havik and Reiko from the 3D era, but a lot of the other ones are from the earlier games. The only one from after that was introduced base game was Geras, and his story's changed. He's now the Guardian of the Hourglass for Liu Kang, so he's become a hero now, which I do actually really like. I like that they've given him that story now. I believe that Jade, Reptile and Nightwolf are probably going to be the better characters for this. People were so triggered when they found out that Jade wasn't going to be base game or Combat Pack 1 and 2. The amount of fucking tweets that I saw that were like, oh, where's Jade? Where's Jade? Please bring back Jade. On literally anything. Like, the tweet could be literally about new changes that are coming with, like, patches or whatever, and pretty much every single time you'll see a comment like, oh, you put Jade in. It's so funny. Reptile is in though. He was shown, I think it was in the 3rd or 4th trailer that came out that introduced characters. And then Nightwolf is apparently rumoured to be a cameo in Combat Pack 3, I believe. So again, like, not base, not Combat Pack 1, but it's still kind of there, but I don't think it's been fully confirmed yet. And apparently Jade's supposed to be Combat Pack 3, so everyone complaining about Jade not being in so far can shut up. Since Edenia is obviously shown when Katana and Melina are introduced in the first trailer. That was not Edenia, I got told a lot. That is Outworld, but it just happens to look like Edenia. I think Edenia is now part of Outworld now, rather than being a separate realm, so... Whoops. I think with how the new era stuff's planning out, it makes sense for Nightwolf to come back. And with Reptile, he might do something where... Ed Boon, I think, mentioned that he wanted to bring new storylines to characters. They definitely did that. Reptile is Zaterran. Before his race was Saurians, but now he's Zaterran, who was outcast from his realm and hides as a warm blood, so basically hides as a human among everyone else, and becomes Shang Tsung's jailer. So definitely given a new storyline, and the fact that he's able to switch between human and Zaterran form is actually pretty cool. It makes it really awkward in gameplay terms, but I do actually really like the change that they made to him.
Now, over the time that Mortal Kombat 1 has been announced, Ed Boon has said that he wants to bring a lot of the 3D era characters back. He's mentioned that in quite a few interviews. And he's also mentioned that a lot of characters that are classed as Mortal Kombat characters but have never been playable in Mortal Kombat games will come in to some extent.
So that was a fucking lie. None so far. Every single character that's been introduced so far has been in games up to Mortal Kombat 11. We have had no real new, like, original combat characters, or original Mortal Kombat characters. We haven't had anything new so far, pretty much. The only exceptions that you could make, really, are Janet Cage. I think it's just Janet Cage. Oh, and also Harumi, who was rumoured to be, I think it's cameo in the upcoming story expansion. So, yeah, it's literally just Janet Cage and Harumi, who are both cameo characters, so there's that.
The intro dialogue between Liu Kang and Sub-Zero shows that Sub-Zero is not actually Kuai Liang, but Bi-Han.
This is true. Kuai Liang is now Scorpion, and Bi-Han is Sub-Zero. And this links onto something later, which I said, which I feel stupid for saying now, but it exists in the story now, thanks to the expansion. So yeah.
This makes me believe that Noob Saibot is not going to be in the game. Since the Black Dragon were mentioned, if they are involved, I'm going to go purely based on characters that we don't know too much of a story about. That being Tremor and Cobra.
Tremor shows up as a cameo fighter in Combat Pack 1. He's the first one that's shown against Omni-Man. And Cobra just doesn't show up whatsoever.
Now, of course, with the Black Dragon, you have to have the Red Dragon.
The Red Dragon do show up. Movado is another cameo character. He was shown alongside Ermac. He is Red Dragon, but we only know that because of Takeda's Tower ending, where the Red Dragons show up as part of the Yakuza, along with Dagon. So, again, it's like very retroactive. Like you see a lot of it after the after the Combat Pack came out. A lot of the stuff comes out after that, and we know the knowledge of it because of that. So it was very confusing as to how Movado was linked to it, but seeing the Tower ending and seeing that he is a part of the Red Dragon, who is above the Yakuza, it's interesting.
Suhao isn't really liked in the Mortal Kombat team, so I don't think he makes it in, but I believe Movado and Dagon do.
Again, both show up in Takeda's Tower ending.
Now, another lot of dialogues that happen between Kenshi and Liu Kang mentions Suchin, who, if you don't know, is Takeda Takahashi's mother. So if that happens, it makes sense for even, like, it could be a story thing when them two meet, they get to know each other, they do whatever the fuck they do, and then Takeda exists.
Okay, this was a touchy topic when I heard about it. Turns out Takeda, he's not Kenshi's son in this timeline. They are cousins. Nothing wrong with it. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. Again, it's just one of those things where we've only known about Takeda and Kenshi through Mortal Kombat X, because neither of them were in 11. Even though Takeda was mentioned a lot in 11, pretty much with Scorpion and Jackie, he pretty much never showed up after that. It's definitely an interesting twist on his character, and seeing that they are cousins now.
I don't think Scorpion's Hanzo Hasashi.
This was one of the only things that I got right in the video. Hanzo is not Scorpion. Like I said before, Scorpion is now Kuai Liang, and Hanzo is the newest apprentice of the new Shirai Ryu under Scorpion, Harumi, and Smoke. I wonder if Hanzo's going to show up in the story mode this time. I very highly doubt it since he's a child, but again, you never know. Ed Boon likes to pull surprises.
What I believe the backstory here is going to be is that Bihan, as the leader of the Lin Kuei, wants to cyberize all of the members of the Lin Kuei.
That was shown in his tower ending. They start creating cybers, but I don't think any actual physical cybers are shown. I think it's just kind of like cybernetic enhancements, almost like Jax in the original stories. We're gonna get onto the actual cyber stuff later on because I know that I do end up talking about it, and it again links to Kombat Pack 2.
Sub-Zero has his clan, the Cyber Lin Kuei, and then Scorpion has the Shirai Ryu. Bai Liang gets cyberized and becomes Cyber Sub-Zero, who I think is going to be Tundra. Cyrax, Sector, and Smoke.
Cyrax and Sector are both cameos in the base game as their male variants. They are who they used to be in the original timeline. Smoke shows up, but he's a human, although the cyber version of Smoke shows up in the Kit Bash fights in Chapter 15. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen that, by the way. And Cyrax and Sector are in Kombat Pack 2, but they are now female, which has triggered a lot of people online. I think you should just grow up. Everyone's had their backstories changed. Literally, I'm fairly certain every single character that is in Mortal Kombat 1 has had their storyline changed to an extent, and Cyrax and Sector's just happen to be that they are now female. Get a life.
I think it's more likely for Cyrax and Smoke to be playable characters, and Sector and Tundra to be cameo.
Again, kind of right, kind of not. Cyrax and Sector show up as their cyber versions as cameo characters, but Cyrax, Sector, and Smoke are all human in their playable appearances.
No, I know what a lot of you are going to be saying as well. You think Takeda Takahashi's not going to be in the game just purely based on the fact that the other Mortal Kombat kids, so Cassie and Jackie,
were kind of revealed as not going to be in the game. Again, kind of complicated. Takeda is in the game. He was the last character shown in Kombat Pack 1. Kung Jin and Cassie have both been leaked to be playable in future combat packs. I think through data mining of original intro dialogues when the game came out, and I think it said that them two along with Jade are going to be Combat Pack 3. So again, kind of difficult there to unpack everything, but again, it's just kind of speculation at this point.
Characters revealed to be Ermac and Quan Chi, as well as Takeda Takahashi, as the returning characters. But then as guest characters, you've got Peacemaker from the DC universe, you've got Homelander from The Boys, and you've got Omni-Man from Invincible.
This leak turned out to be 100% true, and it was also confirmed by The Thinny and Interloco. They both announced before the Combat Pack was even revealed that it was going to be Omni-Man, Peacemaker, Homelander as the guest characters, and then Quan Chi, Ermac, and Takeda as the combat characters. And yeah, it was confirmed at one of the... was it San Diego Comic-Con? It was some kind of gaming event like that. Anyway.
If these characters get in, it's going to be absolutely nuts. I know people are going to go absolutely ballistic if this happens. People have already gone mad knowing that this is a possibility. Like, this is a timeline that we could have.
And now we've got a timeline where we've got Ghostface, T-1000, and Conan the Barbarian coming into Mortal Kombat as well. Yeah, Ed Boon's cooking.
Ermac, I think, makes it. Again, because his character's very well known, he's a very classic character. It could be a thing where you find out where he got his telekinetic powers from.
So it turns out Ermac gets his soul because in the collection is the soul of someone called Azizi the First. I'm probably butchering that name. But apparently because of the fact that he contains her soul, he then gets telekinetic powers. and it looks like it's not just her that has the powers, because after Sindel dies in the story mode, Ermac absorbs her soul as well, and in Ermac's tower ending, it's shown that he also has Sindel's powers because he contains her soul. So it looks like whenever he obtains a soul, he gets their powers as well. So just as a hypothetical, if he absorbed Sub-Zero's soul, he would then get cryomancy, or at least that's what it looks like.
Was he human and then was given to them by Shang Tsung or someone like that, or is he just a being of souls that collectively makes this character?
Yes, he is. He is a being of souls created from the dead in the living forest. He was made by Quan Chi using one of the Soulnados.
Ed Boon has leaked, or he's took like screenshots of websites and like web pages, and in photos that you've seen around the internet, they've circled parts of them where it actually reveals characters' names. Those ones being Darius, Hotaru, Havoc, and Shujinko.
Darius is a cameo alongside Shujinko. Havoc is playable, and Hotaru just doesn't show up whatsoever. Havoc in this timeline is actually from Order Realm and is rebelling against it, and Darius helps him. Hotaru could potentially show up, but I think he was... I mean, again, this is just speculation. I reckon he was killed when rain flooded Order Realm. I reckon. Because Hotaru is also mentioned in an intro dialogue between Havoc and Melina. So, again, whether he has a chance of showing up yet, I mean, seeing how the story expansion is now going to be about Titan Havoc, I reckon if Hotaru does show up, it's because he's died. I reckon. And then, yeah, Shujinko shows up as a cameo in the base game, and then also in Kung Lao's ladder ending as an apprentice who actually... he absorbs Kung Lao's ego, of all things, and becomes not evil, but his ambition gets to him, and then he needs Liu Kang's wrath in order to kind of bring him back to semi-normality.
Liu Kang enters the Wuxi Academy and talks to the Great Kung Lao, or who we believe to be the Great Kung Lao.
It was the Great Kung Lao. So basically, just from watching this, I've realised that I said a lot of things that were wrong, and very few things that were right, and even fewer things that we haven't even learnt about yet. So yeah, thanks for watching. What the fuck are you still doing here? The video's over. Go.